Welcome to Off the Shelf. Today our special guest is Rey Cruz, and he is a retired special ed teacher from CPS of 24 years. He was also an adjunct professor from Chicago State University in special ed. In our last interview with him, he said he will return when he has finished his book, and now he's back with Ballesteros on my mind. Welcome back, Rey.
Good morning.
So tell us a little bit about the influence your mother had on you for writing.
I grew up in a coastal town in the Philippines, and the name is Ballesteros, Cagayan. It's by the South China Sea, which we like to call now West Philippine Sea, because of we are having some disputes with China.
That's right. Quite uncomfortable.
That's
hotspot now.
the politically incorrect name now. It's called
Yes.
West Philippine Sea. Okay, and this was in the late 50s and early 1960s, and we only had electricity at night.
There's no TV.
No
There's
television.
Yes.
We had a radio operated.
Some hours of the day, right?
Radio, battery operated
Right.
radio. And so this really encouraged people to have imagination. And then we had a lot of old people telling oral stories. So
The oral tradition is very strong.
they're very strong.
Yes. The Philippines being the land of 7,000 islands, you have many of those strong Pacific Island traditions.
We were ruled by the Spaniards for 350 years and by the Americans for 50 years. Now, we also have around 170 languages, so it's a very,
Right.
very diverse country. Yeah.
And I understand that Ballesteros on My Mind has been published in 4 languages, right? Can you
Yes, in
tell us
4
about that
languages.
process?
Yeah. Primarily, it was written for English, and then I thought the book really belongs to the Philippines, so
Yes.
I wrote it in Tagalog, which is the basis of the national language. Yeah, and then I said, why not write it in Ilocano? That's the language of the town.
Yes,
okay?
the local people.
And then after that, I thought of doing Spanish too, because Spanish is like the second international language. So.
Correct, yeah. And was it your publisher that supported you with all these languages, or was it on your own?
I kind of brought up the idea to him, and he's an Ilocano,
Yes.
like me, so he liked the Ilocano part, and then also he was at the time he was a Spanish teacher.
Oh, see, so there you have.
So plus that too, and then of course the reason for the Tagalog is because that's the basis of the national language.
That's the official language taught in schools. So, the publisher was it hard to find this publisher, or was it? What did they contact you, or you contacted?
No, I have known Mr. Edwin Lozada. He's a publisher. He's a publisher, and the name of his publishing house is called Carayan Press. Carayan is actually an Ilocano word. It means river. River, yeah.
So
there is that understanding already why
Perfect
the
fit.
importance for the Ilocano and Spanish, and I didn't have to tell him the importance of Spanish and English. Yeah.
in that way, your illustrator was already culturally appropriate for your book.
Yeah, Tani Magkause has been a children's book illustrator, and but she grew up in the Tagalog region. Yeah, but she was one of the first people to encourage me to write the book, because she saw that it's a good picture book, and how we tried to communicate is, it's based on a town, and we have to be very, very accurate with the period. It's almost
Right.
like a period piece. So,
Historical.
my mother
events.
was a good documenter. She took photos
Yes.
when we were growing up, and she wrote notes on the back of the photos. Yeah, so that was kind of handy.
Yes.
Okay. At the same time, too, I had to contact relatives
Yes.
and my townmates
Yeah,
in
who remember the
Ballesteros.
event as
Yeah,
adults. Yeah.
because this happened like almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
So I usually talk to my contemporaries. This thing really happened. Oh, what do you think? The fire that happened at the schoolhouse, what time of the day it was, and I was not getting an accurate answer. Nobody could tell me. Yeah,
Yeah.
but so we just tried to approximate.
But
Yeah.
you say it's hard to, I mean, it's hard to remember what time it is when the air is so smoky, right?
Oh yeah,
That-
yeah. The fire at the schoolhouse is like the climax of the story in my book, and some people say it was after lunch. I knew it happened after lunch. That's for sure. But I couldn't tell. But I just put there late afternoon, because one might remember it was almost dark because of the smoke. So I maybe my memory was kind of tainted by that smoke already. I don't know. But I had to put somewhere like a time, but I chose late afternoon. Yeah.
I see. And you were a contributing writer for the Filipinas magazine until it folded, right? And
Yeah.
now there's another magazine that's on a digital format. Can you tell us about your involvement with Positively Filipino?
Yeah, Positively Filipino is an online magazine based in San Francisco. It's interesting to know how they came about
The title,
the,
yeah,
the name
or
of
the name
of the magazine. You know, in the olden days when Filipinos were discriminated against, like in California, they would put a sign outside, and they would say they would write positively no Filipinos allowed. So now the name of the magazine, they turn it in a positive way and just made it Positively Filipino.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
Because,
I write about travel, restaurants, and visual artists. Yeah.
and you contribute monthly to this as a columnist, or
No, it depends upon the assignment. Yeah, like usually when I travel, you know, the slang for Filipinos is called Pinoy. So when I see Filipinos abroad, I take pictures of them and write about them. And the name of the section is called Pinoy Spotting. That's how you know, Filipinos everywhere nowadays. Yeah,
They
but
know that
recently I was in Aruba. A lot of Filipinos there in
Yes.
Aruba. Yeah, I think the population is about 120,000, and I think there are about 9,000 Filipinos there. So you
Wow.
could just imagine we're all over the world. Yeah.
But that's a wonderful topic to write about. It's so spontaneous, and makes you can make a lot of friends doing your
Oh
travels.
yeah, yeah, and they're thrilled to know that somebody from America is writing about them, and you know,
Yeah.
giving them attention. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a great idea for writing, because sometimes you think about, well, what should I write about, and then and you want to write something fresh and something new, and this will always give you a new story.
Yeah.
You say you did a lot of fact checking with this book, Ballesteros on My Mind, and translators, and a number of translators you had to employ. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah.
Seven? Did you say
for
seven
the
translators? For
okay, when we started doing when my illustrators started to write the book, I mean to work on the
Yes.
illustrations of the book. There was a health problem in her family,
Okay.
in her family. So that gave me time to work on the text. So then I decided to maybe have a translation in Spanish, and through a friend I met Angeles Marco Perez from Valencia, Spain. And you know what's interesting is she grew up in the Philippines.
Ah.
Yeah, her father was a director of a tile factory in the Philippines,
Okay.
but she went to for high school and grade school. She went to Marinol College, which is in the suburb of Manila.
Well, that
And so
is.
she's a friend of my friend. That's how I met her.
Wow.
And so we met on the internet. And a few years later, I visited her in Valencia, Spain. So I saw her in person, yeah. And then for the Tagalog translators, I had 4 translators. That was an easy one. The hardest was the Ilocano. Ilocano is not taught in the classroom.
That's right.
Unlike the Tagalog, which is the basis of the national language. So it's not standardized. So it was very, very difficult. I had 7 translators. And would you believe 2 had died? 2 had
Oh.
died for one reason or another, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And they contribute to this interweaving of your story.
Oh, very much. Like my cousin, Father Joseph Tacteras. Yeah, he was the primary contributor.
Yes.
And yeah, he passed away too.
And I think that's very interesting that your translator for Spanish has actually had Filipino connection, because we all understand that sometimes the translation or the translator is unfamiliar with
Yeah.
with the setting of the story, or perhaps the cultural context, and having that advantage and personally know the translator is a dream. Is a dream
so
come
it
true.
was very personalized.
Yes.
Unlike when they just pick a translator somewhere, yeah. But I'm really, really thankful to my friends. I have a score of friends who helped me on this, yeah. And I met Angela's Marco Perez through Guilla Mendoza, because they were grade school and high school classmates at Marinol College in Quezon City. Yeah. So that kind of helped a lot, because like Angela's or Angie, her nickname, live in the Philippines. So she knows what we were talking about. Yeah.
Yes. And as an advice or tip for our writers, would you recommend that they try and meet their translators?
Ideally, but
It's not always
you know,
possible.
like
True.
I think I'm really, really thankful that I know to the publisher.
Yes.
Because I understand that in other publishing companies, they just give you an illustrator or translator who you will never meet in your
Right.
in person.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
So there's more like a
That's-
hands-on opportunity here, which is I'm
Yes.
really, really very thankful. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your advice for writers. Now, I think you had written about your life and your personal experience.
Yeah. Based on my readings, if you are the best writer of your experiences. As much as possible, don't try other people to write about their experience. You are the only one who can write about it, because you're the only one who experienced it.
Yes.
Okay, it's a very distinct experience. So you are in the
Expert.
you're the expert. Yeah, because if it's perceived by another person, it might not be that accurate. You know, like what they say. Something gets lost in the translation or in the perception. Yeah. But yeah, write something that you experience. You're the only one who experienced. Yeah. I learned that lesson early on. Okay, because I had a pen pal in
Yes.
Finland. Her name is Satu Metsa, and I met her in 1986. And we met for the first time. after writing for 40 years. Yeah, 40 years, yeah. And the article got published in Newsweek magazine. So I learned from that too. Okay. So another experience that I had was playing the sungka. It's like a board game,
Yes.
like the mancala.
Yes,
Yeah,
Mancala game,
mancala. Yeah, and I wrote an article with some of my colleagues, and because it has a lot of educational opportunities in learning the game, like
Math and like
social
tactile, yes,
interaction, yeah, and it was published in the peer-reviewed journal called Exceptional Children. Exceptional Children.
And you taught this in classrooms too, right? This game.
Yeah, and when I was teaching at the Chicago Public School, my students learned how to play the game, and they preferred that than playing the computer games.
Right. Because this
Something different to them.
and
yeah.
you talk to people, you take turns, you learn social interaction.
And it has the manipulative skills too.
Yes.
And then it was a non-threatening activity, especially for special ed kids who are having a lot of difficulties.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's and then also too, I have always wanted to write about when you are an honor student in Ballesteros. I think they still do that to this day. So, for example, they would call third honor belongs to Yvonne Wolf. Yvonne would go on stage, okay, and then your parents, your mother or father would pin the ribbon, okay, on you, yeah. And then there will be people in the audience who would go up the stage and put gifts. So you know how education was really prized in Ballesteros. I learned that early on.
There's a ritual.
It's a ritual and everything, and like it takes the whole community to educate a child
And support.
so that was a good incentive. So I was really thinking about writing about that, which I successfully did in my book, because there's a portion there.
Yes, I saw that in the book. That's right. I was going to mention that was.
Yeah.
This is a ceremony that you mentioned in the book.
Yeah, and then I wrote too about the kaka. Kaka is a seashell. It's an edible seashell, and it's only found in a few of the coastal towns in Ballesteros. I wrote an article about that too, and I was able to even get the scientific name of the.
That's.
Well, I contacted a field museum researcher.
That is funny. That must be quite a mouthful to say.
But the gakka is really the gem of the town. Yeah, because if you think of Ballesteros, it's always the gakka. You see, the sun in Ballesteros is really gray. When it's wet, it becomes black. Okay, so it's really a black sun. And what we didn't know was there was a black gold there.
Really?
The black sand is full of magnesium. It's magnetite, and it is used in adding an additive to steel. When they make steels, for structures, and a lot of this, the black sand, it has become an environmental problem because they mine that.
So they do.
They mine that and they sell this to China.
But who is
China?
Is
now
it
the Philippine government kind of approved that. But there's an abuse, okay?
So it hurts the
There's an
environmental,
abuse, and now they, I think they're allowed to do it offshore,
Mm-hmm.
not by the sun,
Right.
not by the beach,
Beach,
yeah.
right, not on the
But they can at night. Who knows? They can throw a suction and get more sand. Yeah. Now in Ballesteros, there's some greedy people who took advantage of that. Now they say that it doesn't happen anymore. Okay, but who knows? There's
That's a
no
difficult,
Coast
yeah.
Guard that goes uh, watching at night. Yeah,
Right.
but in the nearby towns, they do it awfully.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you say that it doesn't happen here, it's still a concern
Environmental concern,
because
right?
the
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 sand,
coast
the
is being
coastline.
erased.
Yeah.
Okay, now based on my investigation in the nearby towns that do it intensely, the black
Mining,
sand mining, the seawater has come inland,
Oh,
and
the
it's
shoreline
affecting
has
the
been,
drinking water, and it's affecting the farms.
yes.
Yeah, but
That's
it's so difficult to fight corruption
Yeah.
and greed,
Yes.
and
And
they don't
the
care about this.
environmental, yeah, and the environmental
and
effects is
then
fast.
and they say, oh, it's nothing's happening, and nothing's happening. The Gakka is still here, but my question is, will it be here tomorrow?
Right, right.
Okay.
Because the effects are quick and immediate and could be devastating, irrevocable. So
Yeah, and then the Gakka you could just used to get them as you walk on the beach. Now you have to go deeper to
I
get
see.
there because they're still not touched now.
So
Yeah.
so your
So
livelihood.
it's what has become a treasure is become an environmental concern, and a lot of people in Ballesteros deny that it's happening. But we know for a fact that some people have enriched themselves because of this.
So your book is also addressing attention to perhaps future problems.
Oh
Yeah,
yes,
because
yeah.
you are, yeah, it's not just the past that you're reminiscing about your hometown, right? And do you feel that reflecting on your hometown is a therapeutic process? Does it make you feel conflicting feelings, I guess?
Now, well, we experience a lot and a lot of cherished memories. Okay,
Yes.
especially with the people that I grew up with. And I think it's my duty and honor to be able to document them for the future generations to see how life was then. I must say it was still the age of innocence. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Is this still within you? I mean, you're trying to remember it, recall it. Is that what the age of innocence means to you?
I have a very photographic memory, which is a curse and a blessing. Yeah, but the best way to do it is, I think, to write them down. And then also you consult people, because it's not my book. It's really
For
it
the
will really
community,
belong
yes.
to the people of Ballesteros.
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to share a lot of copies with the school children of Ballesteros,
Yes,
because
yes.
that book belonged to them.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great gift to them.
Yeah.
Now, you say your mother was a great documenter. Now, do you feel like in her photos there will be another book?
I don't know, but it was. My mother was really a very good documenter. Yeah, she took photographs. Okay, not only that, but for the photograph, she wrote notes on the back. A lot of those pictures were given to her would you believe I'm returning them to the original center, to the Families Original Center? Some of them do not even have those copies of the photos anymore.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
my mother
wonderful-
was just like a library, a
Yes.
repository of this thing. She only borrowed them. She
So that's a invaluable gift to those families.
yeah.
Thank you.
They thank me for that. Yeah.
Ray, you mentioned the community and Ballesteros that help you so much. And how about your local Glenview community? How did Glenview help you with your writing?
First of all, the Glenview Library has a nice collection of children's books, which is a great resource. Okay, and then also the Glenview Library, in a way, revere.
Local writers.
Yeah, they
Yes.
revere local writers.
And
yeah.
you've been to a Glenview public event.
Yes,
recognizing the Glenview writers.
periodically they have a reception
Yes.
for Glenview authors. Now, not many towns do that.
Yes.
Okay, and a good resource is Mary Weed, who is a librarian at the Glenview Public Library, and she read my manuscript and made suggestions. And
Help you
if
with
you
the
read
editing.
the book, she even made her testimonial is on
The
the back
cover.
of the
Yes.
book. Yeah.
Will you be sharing this book with the Glenview Library?
Yeah, they have copies. They have the Spanish and
that's
the
right.
English versions. Yeah, and I'm also thankful for Glenview Television because it's not every day that a local television pays attention to local authors.
Yes.
So I'm really, really thankful about that. Yeah.
Well, it's wonderful to have you on our program.
Maraming salamat. Yeah.
And thank you for joining us. See us next time on Off the Shelf. That's great. That's a nice closing. I like that.